Are y'all ready to learn the best ways, the best angles, and the best cards to beat green? Before we begin, get two things up. Can you get two things out of the way here? All right. One, before you then CDH players come in here and say,
actually, green is medium in CDH and blue's best there.
We know that. We know. No one says green is OP in the context of CDH. Nobody's saying that. Nobody is saying that. Nobody says that. Nobody has that idea, all right? Second of all, there's a good chance that if this is your first time seeing me in my content, you think, Bounce Man's just some, like, hardcore blue player who hates green because he can't beat the green decks. Wrong. I legit can't stop playing green. It's like the Toxic X I keep going back to. It's too good. I can't stop playing it. Bounce Man actually is self-hating. Yeah, like actually, I am the green player. So I know, so I more than anyone should know green is broken. What's the best ways to beat green? Well, for starters, this is more so an honorable mention more than anything. But we have to get these out of the way because it's probably the first thing everyone thinks of. And it's all of the strip mines, all your ghost quarters, you know, all your lands that say tap, sack it, destroy a land. To get into the more actual real answers here, I got all these categories of cards here. Of course, there's the obvious one that I call Deforestation. And of course, the poster child for this category is, you know it, Acid Rain. 3 in a blue, 4 mana, destroy all forests, sorcery. One small problem. It's $100. Absolute pay to win. This actually is a good answer to green decks. But this answer starts to fall off the more multicolor the green player is, right? If they're in mono green, this destroys them. This just absolutely destroys a mono green player, 100%. Now, if they're Gruul, still hurts them a decent amount. If they're in Bant and they're playing Shu Lane, there's a good chance this only blows up like only 2-3 lands. Gets even worse if they're playing like Lord Windgrace or something, because they can just get the forest back with a -2 of him or whatever, and they just don't care. Good answer, but falls off the more color heavy the green player is. Contamination, only $4, pretty affordable. 2 in a black enchantment, 3 mana. Beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice this enchantment unless you sacrifice a creature. If a land is tapped for mana, it produces black instead of any other type and amount. This just shuts off all green mana forever. Unfortunately, having to sack a creature every turn is a pretty steep cost, unless you're in like you're playing Travis Scott, and it also makes the entire pod hate you. So that's that's the real issue. I'm being honest. This stops green decks. It also makes the entire pod hate you. So it's a good chance that the other two players just won't care and will attack you anyways. But not if they're already playing black. So contamination goes super hard if there's a green player and everybody else is playing black and they have like their mana fixing rocks in the field. Infernal Darkness. What's this one do, gang? Only $2, even cheaper than contamination. 2 black, 4 mana for enchantment. Cumulative upkeep, pay a black and 1 life. Beginning your upkeep, put an age counter on this permanent. Then sacrifice it, unless you pay its upkeep cost for each age counter on it. If a land is tapped for mana, it produces black instead of any other type. Still might make the pod hate you. On the bright side, you don't gotta sack creatures every turn to keep this on the field, which is better or worse depending on what your build is. I mean, if you're playing, you know, aristocrats, having to sack 1 creature every turn might be just really hard for you if you're not playing like, I don't know, black, white aristocrats something. Like if you play this and it just like robs 3-4 turns from the green player, that's amazing. That already has put the green player in their place. You're fine. You probably don't need to play any other green hate afterwards. If you just like time stop someone but for 3-4 turns of this, that's worth it, I think. That's probably all you need to put them in their place. Next up, bit of a goofy answer. We have life tap. Whenever a forest an opponent controls becomes tapped, you gain 1 life. I mean, this totally could be like 2 mana gain 50 life over the course of the game. In blue of all things, by the way. Also, blue life gain card. Very strange. Honestly, unfortunately, I think this might be a Deadbolt Cheeto tier green hate card, because this doesn't stop the green player from doing their thing of ramping a absurd amount of lands and casting giant unstoppable beaters by turn 5 that are 12/12s and have vigilance, trample, and haste for some reason, and hexproof, and when they hit you, sacrifice a newborn, all that stuff, right? It's fine. It'll be like 2 mana gain 50 life of the course of the game. Maybe that gives you an extra turn to get an answer for the green deck. I don't know. It's an alright answer. Finally, chat, for our Deforestation category of cards, we have Reality Twist. Really weird card, and probably is bad. Why? Well, let's see. It costs 3 blue mana for its enchantment, and has cumulative upkeep 1 blue. So on your first upkeep, you gotta pay 3 mana. The next one, you gotta pay 6. Third one, you gotta pay 9. If tapped for mana, plains produce red, swamps produce green, mountains produce white, and forests produce black instead of any other type. You can only play this if you are 5 color, because it has the mana symbols in the rules text. Matter of fact, actually, no, don't even play this one. Don't even play this one. If you're in 5 color, you don't, no. Nuh-uh. Also, Naked Singularity. Literally the same thing, but also affects mountains to produce blue. Yeah. And islands produce green. Very strange. There's not a ton of answers that just turn off forests, right? Or hate out forests, right? So if we can't hate out their forests themselves, perhaps we can find a way to turn off their ability to ramp entirely. Enter the category of library locking. We need ways to just turn off the land ramp entirely. Library locking is supposed to be a category where you either turn off land ramp entirely, or you are punishing the green player in some way for doing that. Archivist of Ogma. Y'all know this thing. It's a good draw engine in CDH. 1 to white, 2/2 flash. Whenever the opponent searches their library, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Only just gives you some advantage from opponents searching. Doesn't really stop them. Next up, we have Ashiok Dream Render. Spells and abilities your opponents control can't cause their controller to search their library. It's 3 mana for a literally 5 planeswalker with no plus, womp womp tier. But he does -1 to one mill 4 cards, and then he exiles each opponent's graveyard. So not only does Ashiok turn off creature tutors, land ramp, you know, your cultivates, nature's lore, all that stuff, he also exiles their graveyard to ensure that if they are running any sort of Crucible of Worlds, Conduit of Worlds, Realm of Excavator, all that stuff, turns off their graveyard and ensures that if there are any lands in their graveyard, it just exiles them. Can also mill them for 4 and then exile their yard again. Unfortunately, Ashiok is a Dimir card, so you gotta be in blue-black to play him, which does make Ashiok a little restrictive. You can't really run them in a lot of decks, but I do think Ashiok is a good slot in. Honestly, not even just against green, it's just a good card. It's graveyard hate and turns off searching decks for 3 mana. It's a very fair rate. Play this card, it's good. Aven Mind Sensor. 2 and a white, flash, which is very relevant. Flying 2/1. If an opponent would search a library, that player searches the top 4 cards of that library instead. What's that? You want to cast Rampant Growth? Well, I sure hope it's a basic in those top 4. The flash is actually extremely relevant here, because it acts almost as like a counter spell for tutors and ramp cards. There's a good chance that reducing search your library to search top 4 just pretty much just turns off the card. But they are in green, so a half deck basic lands. True, but this does weigh the odds heavily in your favor for them to just whiff entirely. It turns off all tutoring. So it turns off green creature tutors and green land ramp. And the flash is very good. Also a bird if you're playing Cast Draw Windcrested. By the way, if you're playing Cast Draw, please run this thing. Leonin Arbiter. Players in general, not just opponents, can't search libraries, but any player may pay 2 for that player to ignore this effect until end of turn. Obviously this is gonna be deck dependent. If you're not in green, it's probably a good indicator to run this card. You know, you're in Boros aggro and you don't really run a lot of equipment tutors, slot him in. Also a cat if we're playing a Robbo, but you're in green then, so you probably wouldn't play him there. He's a cleric if you're playing Ora, Sky, Clave Hierophant, Absolute Cleric Kindred. No flash. The no flash does suck, but I mean, hey, he is cheaper as recompense. Next up, we have an answer that no one plays, and I think it's for a good reason. Mindlock Orb. 3 blue, 4 mana artifact. Players can't search libraries. And that's it. Mono blue decks would love this. Blue white decks would love this. It's just a good stats piece that hopefully affects the green player the most and doesn't affect the other opponents in a way that makes them want to hate you. I think one thing to really be cautious of with these green hate cards is to make sure that your green hate cards only really piss off the green player. Because if your other opponents get mad at you for playing cards that are designed to hate the green decks, they're gonna hate you too. And if your other opponents work together with the green player to stop you, then your green hate isn't really stopping the green deck now, is it? No, it's not. It's killing you, which is not good. It is an artifact, so good artifact decks. You know, you're playing Saheeli, whatever. Urza, I think it might be good in Urza. Then again, you have artifact tours in that deck, so maybe not. I'm not sure. Nobody plays Mindlock Orb, and honestly, I think it's because it's just really hard to slot in most of the time. Because, like, the mana cost is awkward. Having to tap out for a 4 mana artifact that does nothing can feel bad in a lot of decks. If you can make it slide in perfectly, I think it's good. But of course, I recognize that that's not really super easy to do most of the time. Obnixilis Unshackled. 6 mana, kind of steep for a hate piece. Good chance the green player already has like 10 lands at this point. But he is a creature, so he might be a good reanimation target. 4 black, 6 mana for a legendary demon creature, flying shamble 4/4. Whenever an opponent searches their library, that player sacrifices a creature of their choice and loses 10 life. Whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Obnixilis. If you're just gonna like play him super fairly, as people in chat said already, really good chance that you play this on like turn 6, whatever, turn 5, and the green player already has like 9 lands. At which point, Obnixilis ain't gonna do much for you. Alternatively, if you like turn 1 Entomb, turn 2 reanimate this guy, he goes pretty nuts. He like Obnixilis, I think, becomes way stronger if you're in a reanimation deck. Maybe even like Shadowborn Apostles. Good old opposition agent. 2 and a black, 3 mana, flash, human rogue. You control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. While an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were a mana of any card to cast them. Once again, 3 mana flash essentially acts as a counterspell. Also, like, steals creatures if they're casting a creature tutor because they exile it and then you can cast it later. You're kind of nuts there. Unfortunately, it's a game changer. Oh my god. Honestly, dude, I think the fact that it's game changer actually hurts this thing's ability to perform a lot. Like, you can't even play this in brackets 1 and 2. You can only play it in bracket 3 and above. But it's a very strong card. Psychic Surgery. Bet you haven't heard of this one. 1 blue for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent shuffles their library, you may look at the top 2 cards of that library. You may exile one of those cards and then put the rest on top of that library in any order. This one's weird. I think obviously it scales super well. You know, if they only cast 3 land fetches after this, it's kind of meh. If they're playing fetch lands, they're playing creature tutors. If they're playing worldly tutor, they're playing land ramp. They're searching their deck constantly. Surgery ensures that they always draw the worst of their top 2 cards. Also hurts the top deck tutors as well. You know, worldly tutor and all them. This thing just hoses those. If an opponent is searching their deck a lot, there's a good chance that, you know, eventually the top 2 cards will have a game-ending threat. So this just exiles that for free forever, and they can't get it back unless they're playing, you know, a Rift Sweeper or something. I think this is a hate piece that's kind of hard to judge because the impact isn't immediately clear just from reading it, right? You gotta run it for a bit and see how it does. If this exiles 10 cards, and you're choosing what 10 cards to exile over time, that's good. Early game, this can deny land drops if they play a fetch land on turn 3. It can remove big bombs that you don't want them casting. It can remove game-ending threats if you get lucky. It just shuts off all to the top tiers as well. I think it's a fine card. Again, it doesn't really stop the green player from doing their thing, but could, in the long run of the game, punish them. Alternatively, if you're in colorless and you don't have blue on you, you can just play Psychogenic Probe. 2-mana artifact. Whenever a spell or ability causes a player to shuffle their library, this artifact deals 2 damage to that player. Oh, your fetch lands? Yeah, pay 3 life for those, actually. Oh, your land ramp? Take 2 for that every time. Can easily deal, like, 10 to 20 damage over the course of the game. Unfortunately, green has life gain for some reason. Yeah, because that makes sense. So, they could probably just heal the damage back. 2 doesn't feel enough. Again, this is a card that can scale super well. If they only search your deck 2-3 more times after you cast this, not that good. But if they're playing 3, 4, 5 colors, got a lot of fetch lands, they're playing lots of land ramp, lots of tutors and whatnot, they're playing Yisan of all things. Colorless option that every deck can use if they want to. Only 2 mana, might deal 4, 8, 12, 20 damage, depending on the pod. Alternatively, if you're an Izzet, we have River Song. 1 blue-red for a 2/2 legendary human time lord rogue creature. You draw cards from the bottom of your library rather than the top. Okay, I guess. Whenever an opponent scries, surveils, or searches their library, put a +1/+1 counter on River Song. Then, River Song deals damage to that player equal to its power. This thing scales much, much better than the probe does. Because it's 3 damage, then 7 in total, then 12. And then what, 18? Thing scales much better. You do gotta be an Izzet, which is a little more color demanding. Could also be your commander. Like you can just play blue-red good stuff and just have River Song in a command zone because you hate green players. Scale is much better than Pro, but you gotta be in blue-red. If you can make it work, you can make it work. Shadow of Doubt. Blue-black, blue-black. Once again, gotta be to be able to cast this, or to run it even. Instant. Players can't search libraries this turn. Draw a card. Sort of acts as a counterspell to library searching effects, but this one is much, much better because it cantrips. And also turns off any other searching for the rest of a turn, which I suppose the Mind Sensor and the Agent did too. But the green player could remove those if they wanted to go and search again. Shadow of Doubt just says no. No more searching decks this turn. Basically just like a really high value counterspell for tutor effects or land ramp. 2 mana counter cultivate, and you're not down a card, but they are because you drew a card. Just a good tempo play. At that point, why not just Stifle too? Because Stifle doesn't draw a card, chat. Which does matter. Stranglehold, 3 in a red, 4 mana for enchantment. Your opponents can't search libraries. Period. That's it. You're done. No more searching. If an opponent would begin extra turn, that player skips that turn instead, whatever. That doesn't really stop green decks unless they're running Seed Time, I guess. Enchantments are probably one of the easiest things for greens to remove, honestly. Funnily enough. But it still is just a hard answer. 4 mana, you can't search in general, period. Soonest this is coming out is turn 3, and then the grand player already has 7 lands. Yep. So what you do, chat, is you power this out with Rite of Flame and Simian Spirit Guide, and you cast this like turn 1. Widespread Panic, 2 in a red enchantment. Whenever a spell or ability causes its controller to shuffle their library, that player puts a card from their hand on top of their library. Essentially, every time a green player decides they want to ramp or tutor, they gotta go down a card in their hand. Now, yes, they will draw that card later on, but it's still getting out of their hand and going on top of the library. So they are down a card in terms of tempo. Honestly, I think this one might be way better assuming the green player doesn't get their third turn before you do. Like, if you lay this before the green player gets to cast their Cultivate, I think it goes up in value. It does kind of fall from the late game. You know, green players can just cast Rich Card's Expertise and draw 8 cards for 6 mana and then cast a 5-drop for free because, you know, they just do that. And at that point, you know, oh wow, I gotta go down a few cards when I search my deck. Oh no, whatever. I think Panic is good if you run it with other green hate effects. By itself, I don't think it's gonna get the job done, unfortunately. Green players want to ramp lands? Alright, fine. Let's make them pay for it. With the next category of cards, land tax. Our namesake card being land tax. 1 white for enchantment. Get your upkeep if an opponent controls more lands than you. You may search your library for up to 3 basic land cards, reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle. The land tax category of cards is supposed to essentially punish the green player for ramping lands by helping you reach their level, or punishing them by dealing damage to them, having you draw cards when the green player ramps. The land tax category is essentially supposed to help you catch up to the green player's level or bring them down to your level. I put balance here, but balance is not legal. Great, awesome. Land tax, it can be just like 1 mana draw 3 every turn, 3 lands. And ensures to hit land drops, okay. Anka Mishra, whenever a land enters, they take 2. Nice and Boundless Realms get domed for 20. By extension, we also have Cemetery Gatekeeper. When this creature enters, exile a card from a graveyard. Whenever a player plays a land or casts a spell, if it shares a card type with the exile card, this creature deals 2 damage to that player. So you exile a fetch land from their graveyard. Now from here on out, whenever they play lands, they take 2 damage. Also a vampire, which is actually a relevant creature type for vampire decks. Y'all vampire players, run him. Also, he has drip in his showcase frame. Very good. And of course, who can forget our boy of Zozu, the Punisher. 1 red for a legendary Goblin Warrior creature, 2/2. Whenever a land enters, Zozu deals 2 damage to that land's controller. One small problem. He costs $20. Okay. Alright, yeah. By extension again, for more land damage, we have Tunnel Ignis. Tunnel Ignis, 1 red for a 2/1 elemental creature, relevant. Whenever a land enters under an opponent's control, if that player had another land enter the battlefield under the control of his turn, this creature deals 3 damage to that player. Only hurts the green player if they're playing more than 1 land a turn, but it does more damage per trigger. So it's a whole lightning bolt worth of damage every time they decide they want to ramp. Polluted Bonds, I'm not sure how good this is nowadays. 3 black enchantment, 5 mana. Whenever a land an opponent controls enters, that player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. 5 mana enchantment to hate on the green deck playing lots of lands, but it pings them and gains you life. Could be good in life gain decks, honestly. If you're in black-white life gain, getting life gain triggers on an opponent's turn is good. Also, Anka Mishra, Zozu, all them are symmetrical. Polluted Bonds is asymmetrical, so it doesn't affect you. It actually rewards you by giving you lots of life gain. Get out tier, in my opinion. I kind of feel it. I'd have to play it in today's World Commander to see how good it is. I'm not sure. It might just do some free damage and gain you a lot of life. I'm not sure. Nightshade Harvester, 3 and a black, 4 mana for an elf shaman creature, absolute elf ball, 2/2. Whenever a land and an opponent controls enters, that player loses 1 life. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Only 1 damage. Not that great, but it can become like a 4 mana 10/10 that swings at the green player every turn. It's a little slow. If it was 3 mana, not 4, like a lot more. But for 4 mana, it's a little meh. Alternatively, you can try and catch up to the green player by just playing catch-up ramp. Of course, you know, there's Loyal Warhound, Knight in the White Orchid, all those things, which I mean, they ramp always regardless. There's a chance they turn off later on if the green player isn't ramping a lot. So you can run catch-up ramp that triggers every turn, or at least triggers multiple times, like Arcade Rancher's map. 2 white artifact, 3 mana. When this artifact enters, search your library for up to 2 basic plains cards, reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle. Whenever a land an opponent controls enters, if that player controls more lands than you may put a land card from your hand onto battlefield. Goes absolutely nuts with land tax. Again, map is just here to help you catch up to the green player's level, essentially. It's there to squeeze the gap, so to speak, between you and the green player. Keeper of the Accord does the same thing, essentially, where he triggers on each opponent's end step, and on that end step, if they have more lands than you, you just go and get a plains card, put into play tapped. You can also make 1/1 soldiers, whatever. It's fine. And there's also Scholar of New Horizons. You have to have counters on permanents you control. He's 1 white for a 1/1 scout that enters with a +1/+1 counter on themselves. Tap, remove a counter from a permanent you control. Search your library for a plains card and reveal it. If an opponent controls more lands than you may put that card on battlefield tapped. If you don't put the card onto the battlefield, put it into your hand instead, then shuffle. So it can ramp you, or just be like land draw if you play lots of counters. Confounding Conundrum. 1 blue mana for an enchantment. When this enchantment enters, draw a card. Hey! Nice and card neutrality. Whenever a land an opponent controls enters, if that player had another land enter a battlefield under the control of his turn, they return a land they control to its owner's hand. Now, this card can be good. There's also a chance to just let the green player combo off and win the game right then and there. How, you ask? Let me tell you. So there's this funny little card that green likes to play called Kodama of the East Tree. 4 green, 6 mana. Whenever another permanent you control enters, if it wasn't put onto the battlefield with this ability, you may put a permanent card with equal or lesser mana value from your hand onto battlefield. Now, that by itself, you think, okay, who cares? If they play lands, they still gotta return land to their hand. Here's the real issue. If the green player has anything, and I mean literally anything, that makes tokens for playing lands, lands entering will make tokens, which triggers Kodama again. Kodama with Conundrum and a land, a card that makes tokens when lands enter, lets you just loop a land drop off the Conundrum forever and makes infinite tokens. Conundrum can be good, but you gotta be careful. So to put it simply, right, I'll make it simple as possible, right? I play a land, Kodama triggers. I may put a land to play. Now, there's 2 triggers that go on a stack. The Conundrum's return land to hand trigger, and the Balos make token trigger. I let Conundrum happen first. I return land to my hand. And then Balos triggers. I make a 4/4 beast token. The 4/4 beast token triggers Kodama, allowing me to put a permanent with mana value 0 into play. I put the land to play. Conundrum triggers. Balos triggers. I tell Conundrum to put a land in my hand. Balos makes a token, which lets it put a 0 mana permanent to play. I put land to play. Conundrum, it can be good, can also just give the green player a free win. And finally, for our land tax category of cards, we have, gonna love this one, Sire of Stagnation. 4 blue, black, 6 mana for a Eldrazi Devoid creature. Whenever a land an opponent controls enters, that player exiles the top 2 cards of their library, and you draw 2 cards. Now, I know what you're gonna say. Bounce Man, 6 mana and blue, black. The green player already has 12 lands by the time you play this. 2 lands for every turn you went by. And you're right. But if you get this thing down early, dude, oh my god. Oh my god. Bro, you slam this thing down early? Yeah, bro. Green player, go ahead and play some lands. I'll draw 2 cards every time. And oh, by the way, you'll also exile the top 2 cards of your deck every time. Absolute green payoff. Thing is so good, but it falls off pretty hard. because, you know, if you are forced to hard cast this on turn 6, oh boy. It also kind of reads better than it actually is, because in theory, when you play this, no one else just plays lands, ever. Because it's a sire of stagnation. The board stagnates when he's in the field. Nobody's actually gonna play lands into this. Even the green player. They're too scared. Because, you know why? Not because they care about you drawing 2 cards, but because they care about exiling the top 2 cards of their deck. Because, you know, casual Commander players...
Oh, no! Mill's so strong, guys!
Man, it's Exile Mill. It's even stronger. It's too broken. Yo, can we ban Sire of Stagnation? It's too powerful. You know, green players really love to just recur lands in the graveyard, right? Yeah, you know, they play 1 fetch land, and they play a Ramu Nop Excavator or Crucible of Worlds and whatnot. That's not okay. Moving on to anti-Crucible effects here, aka just graveyard hate. It's literally just graveyard hate. Leyline of the Void, 2 black enchantment. If this card is in your opening hand, you may begin the game without a battlefield. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard anywhere, exile it instead. A 0 mana graveyard hate. That's pretty good. It's also 4 mana if you draw it later in the game, which is not great. Alternatively, you can just avoid all of that by playing a Planar Void. Whenever another card is put into a graveyard anywhere, exile that card. Unfortunately, costs $8. Oh my god. Alternatively, there's Rest in Peace, of course. The old-fashioned, all reliable Rest in Peace. 1 to white, enters, exile all graveyards. If a card or token would be put into a graveyard anywhere, exile it instead. So one thing I actually do want to say real quick about Graveyard Hate. So Graveyard Hate actually is good against these green decks who want to just loop lands back all the time. Unfortunately, it once again has a chance to just make the entire table mad at you. How dare you exile my graveyard? For this you will suffer. Isn't Tormod's Crypt all reliable? No. That card's bad. That card is terrible Graveyard Hate. I'll exile a green player's graveyard once, and then they'll just play another fetch land with their excavator out and just keep looping lands once again. No. We have to actually make sure the graveyard stays exiled forever to stop the green player. So again, be careful playing this, because again, if your anti-green cards make the whole table mad at you and you die because of that, your anti-green cards are not anti-green cards. They're anti-being alive cards. Next up, we have Samurai of the Pale Curtain. Double white for a Fox Samurai creature. If a permanent would be put into a graveyard, exile it instead. So if any land enters a graveyard ever with this thing out, gets exiled. It's frail, but it's also a white card, and white has ways to get small creatures. And by white has ways to get small creatures, I mean it's literally just Recruit of the Guard. It's also a samurai if you're playing samurai decks in the big 2025. Alternatively, there is Soulless Jailer, 2 colorless artifact creature Phyrexian Golem for a 0/4, nice and Wall of Omens. Permanent cards in graveyards can't enter a battlefield. Players can't cast non-creature spells from graveyards or exile. It's an artifact, which is relevant for all them blue decks that play artifacts and whatnot. You know, your Ethereum Sculptors and Foundry Inspectors and whatnot, all that stuff, right? Can't cast non-creature spells from graveyards. Absolute Underworld Breach hate, I guess. It's a card-wish option that every deck can run. I think the value of this card goes way up if you're actually in an artifact deck, because then it's actually helping you. You know, it's triggering your artifact shenanigan stuff. It's triggering your Reckless Fireweavers, your Vidalcan Archmages, all those stuff. Tomic Distinguished Advocus. Don't be real. Don't think he's good. But you can play if you want to. He is a human. So, if you're playing Human Kindred, might be good there. Double white for a legendary human advisor creature flying 2/3. Lands on the battlefield and land cards in graveyards can't be the targets of spells or abilities your opponents control. Your opponents can't play land cards from graveyards. Turns off Conduit, turns off Ramunap Excavator, turns off all of them, and that's all he does. He's a flying human, so if you're in Human Kindred, it can make him maybe a big beater with them anthems. You know, Drina Kudro, 4/3 flyer for 2 mana. Wheel of Sun and Moon, green, white, green, white. Oh my god. I use the green to destroy the green card. Enchantment Aura. Enchant player. Not a curse, by the way. Just so we're clear, not a curse. If a card will be put into enchant player's graveyard anywhere, instead that card is revealed and put on the bottom of that player's library. In some ways, I think this is actually better than stuff like Rest in Peace because it only affects the one green player at your pod. So it only affects them while not making every other player at the pod mad at you. Unfortunately, you gotta be in green to play it, so kind of defeats the whole purpose there, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Moving on to non-basic hate, chat, because we are so sick of these green players playing Field of the Dead, grabbing Masuva to copy Field of the Dead, and then grabbing Thespian Stage to copy the Field of the Dead. And then somehow they get a 4th copy of Field of the Dead through cheating. Yeah, isn't that so cool? We have Anathemancers. Shards of Alara! Absolute Cinema! DCI printing. Anathemancers. 1 black red for a zombie wizard creature 2/2. When this creature enters, it deals damage to target player equal to a number of non-basic lands that player controls. It has Unearthed for 5 black and a red. Target player, so it only hurts the 1 green player. Also a wizard. Inala players. Here's your tech to beat green decks. You pay 1 to get this twice. You dome someone for 10. And oh, by the way, if you have like Naban out or Harmon Prodigy, bro, oh my god. Oh, bro, Harmon Prodigy and this on an Inala deck. Ooh. Just dome them for 20 for 4 mana. You gotta be in black, red to play it, but I think it's fine. Also a zombie if you're playing Rakdos zombies for some reason. Pretty spicy, actually. Archon of Emeria, 2 and a white, 3 mana for an Archon creature. Flying. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. Absolute rule of law. And then non-basic lands your opponents control and are tapped. Just slows green deck down if you're playing lots of non-basics. There's also the Thalia. Thalia Heretic Cathar, 2 and a white for a legendary human soldier creature, 1st strike, 3/2. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control and are tapped. Once again, slows them down. Very good. Of course, we have the all-time blue staple of back to basics. What's that? You're playing non-basic lands? Well, guess what? They don't untap anymore. For a nice and 3 mana. Bro, if you're in like mono blue, you run this thing out, dude. Oh my god. There was also, by extension, Blood Moon, which just makes on non-basics mountains. Magus of the Moon, which is just Blood Moon's text on a 2/2 human wizard creature. Harbinger of the Seas, which makes all non-basic lands islands. Absolute blue moon. So just a bunch of ways to turn off non-basics. And also, with Modern Horizons 3, we got a colorless option that every single deck can run if they choose to with Winter Moon. Players can't untap more than 1 non-basic land during their untap step for 2 mana. You can power this out on turn 2 and just screw over all non-basic players. In any deck, not even just like blue or red or whatever, just in any deck, just throw us in for 2 mana. Also as an artifact, so good in artifact decks. There's also a pretty interesting card I found in Blood Sun, 2 red enchantment. When Blood Sun enters battlefield, draw a card. All lands lose all abilities except mana abilities. So, Field of the Dead just turns into a waste. Thespian Stage turns into just a waste. Vesuva enters with no abilities at all. So it does nothing. This card essentially just makes all non-basics into regular lands that just don't have basic land types. They just sit there, exactly. Glacial Chasm does nothing. Field of the Dead does nothing. Another thing that matters, actually, so Blood Sun will have lands that say they enter tapped, enter untapped. Blood Sun, I think, is actually a very fair card in the sense that it's a non-basic land hate card that won't make the entire pod want to eat your guts. Also cantrips, so you're not down on card when you play it. It's also 34 cents. You can get a foil copy for $1.35 on TCG Player. Not a sponsor of this channel. Burning Earth. 3 in a red, 4 mana for enchantment. Whenever a player taps a non-basic land for mana, Burning Earth deals 1 damage to that player. Mana barbs, but it only affects non-basics. So if you're playing mono red, or just like basic heavy blue red, green red, white red, black red, whatever, you can run this out and punish them. That's good. That's good. Keeping up with the theme of land pinging here, we have a green card, Primal Order. During each player's upkeep, this enchantment deals damage to that player equal to a number of non-basic lands they control. Basic heavy, Gruul, Selesnya, Simic, Golgari, just run this out. Unfortunately, you're in green, so it kind of defeats the purpose of this whole stream. I use the green to destroy the green card. Price of Progress. 1 in a red instant. Price of Progress deals damage to each player equal to twice the number of non-basic lands that player controls. 2 mana for 8, 10, 12 damage at instant speed. Just a really good burn spell to use against non-basic heavy decks. Just does a lot of damage. Also goes nuts in Neheb the Eternal. Sun Spine Lynx. Bro has a sun on his spine. 2 red for a 5/4 elemental cat creature. Players can't gain life. The damage can't be prevented. When this creature enters, it deals damage to each player equal to a number of non-basic lands that player controls. This is a creature that pings based off of non-basics in play. If you're in a blink deck, dude, this thing goes nuts. This thing goes crazy. You're in. I mean, I don't know what blink deck has red in it. I'm not. If you're playing Jeskai, blink. Is it blink? I don't know what blink deck you're playing that has red. But if you are, bro, oh my god, Sunspine Lynx goes so hard. Next up, we have a Jund card. Actually, can you believe it? To hate on non-basics with Destructive Flow. Black, red, green. 3 mana for an enchantment. Beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a non-basic land of their choice. You're probably running like 32 basics if you're running this in your Jund deck. You have like a mana-based design to just keep getting lots of basics. That way this doesn't affect you. That or you're just playing Lord Windgrace. It's good, but you gotta be in 3 cards to even play it, so it's not super popular. But it's an option, you can do it. Helldozer. 3 black for a 6/5 zombie giant creature. Bro came from Ravnica City of Guilds. Pay black and tap. Destroy target land. If that land was non-basic, untap this creature. Goes absolutely insane in Keurig. Outside of that, hopefully you have, you know, the good old Cabal coffers in that mono black deck to just destroy so many lands. So this is a Stone Rain that untaps itself if you just keep blowing up more and more non-basics. Also, it's a zombie. So, you know, you zombie players, you could pick one up for 67 cents. This thing is funny. I agree. He's cool. Is he good? Like, I think you definitely gotta be in a big mana deck. I think, honestly, even if you're in, like, zombies, I'm not really sure that he's super good there. You really do need to be in, like, a big, like, black mana heavy deck. You know, Cabal coffers, and you got ways to 2 Cabal coffers, and you run Urborg to turn the Cabal coffers itself into a swamp, all that stuff, right? You really need your Swamp Matters ramp to make him good, I think. But if you're in a big mana black deck, Helldozer can blow up, like, 3-4 lands a turn. Next up, we have Quicksilver Fountain. 3 mana for an artifact. Beginning of each player's upkeep, that player puts a flood counter on target non-island land they control of their choice. That land is an island for as long as it has a flood counter on it. At the beginning of each end step, if all lands on a battlefield are islands, remove all flood counters from them. Unfortunately, it's the player chooses what land gets the flood counter. This is kind of a weird option. I think Winter Moon probably is just better nowadays. Like there's no reason to run this when you have Winter Moon, I don't think. Like, it's they choose what land gets the flood counter. So it's really a not super efficient way of dealing with it. And also, all the flood counters can get removed once every land in play is an island. So that kind of defeats the whole purpose of it. Maybe if you're in like a deck that can move around counters, that way you can move flood counters from your lands onto another player's land might be good. But I think in a world where Winter Moon exists, and Winter Moon is like less than $1 versus this thing is $5, I feel like 99% of the time, you would just prefer to have Winter Moon over this. Ruination. Armageddon, but only for non-basics. 4-mana sorcery, destroy all non-basic lands. I don't think I gotta explain this one. Bro, you combine Ruination with a Rest in Peace, bro? Or like a Soulless Jailer, or a Black Leyline, dude? Oh my god. Just make sure that the green non-basic spammer just never gets to own good non-basic lands ever again. Next up, we have a Aristocrats card here with Shivan Harvest. 1 red for enchantment. Pay 1 red, sacrifice a creature. Destroy target non-basic land. 2 mana to blow up a land is a really good rate. That's like on the same tier as a Sinkhole, which was actually the most like mana efficient land destruction spell ever printed in black of all things, because that makes sense. Sack a creature, that's fine. You can just, dude, honestly, even in like, if you're in like Boros tokens or Naya tokens, just throw this in there as a way to just sack 1/1s to blow up lands. That's just good value, man. Also, 33 cents. It's very cheap. Run this card, please. Volcanic Offering. 4 red. 5 mana for an instant. Destroy target non-basic land you don't control, and target non-basic land of an opponent's choice you don't control. So, destroys 2 non-basics for 5 mana at instant speed, and then Volcanic Offering deals 7 damage to target creature you don't control, and 7 damage to target creature of an opponent's choice you don't control. A 5 mana instant speed 4-for-1. That's a solid rate, I think. Blows up 2 non-basics, so it gets that green player back 2 mana, and also kills 2 fairly big green creatures. It can kill their commander. 5 mana, blow up to their lands and kill a commander, and can kill their freaking Ramunap excavators. They have one, so you can't get it back. But chat, you know what? Sometimes blowing up lands just isn't enough. And to be honest, it kind of isn't enough most of the time nowadays. Like, all these land destruction cards, you got a combo with Graveyard Hate to ensure the green player doesn't just recur their lands again. Like, oh yeah, I'll Volcanic Offering them, and then they just Crucible of Worlds and get it back, or World Shaper and get it back, or Reclamation, all these just stupid land recursion spells, right? So sometimes destroying lands isn't enough. We need targeted land exile. We have Ashen Rider. 4 white, white, black, black, 8 mana. Extortion for an Archon creature flying 5/5. I don't like that stat line. When this creature enters or dies, exile target permanent. I really hope you are in Blink or you're reanimating this. Cause if you're just playing this in an Orzhov deck, oh, that's rough. Oh, that's rough. That is so rough. It does exile lands, but it's at 8 mana, which is extortion. You may as well just cast Ulamog at that point, yeah. Speaking of which, he actually is on this list. Oh god. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. 10 mana for a 10/10 legendary Eldrazi creature. When you cast this spell, it's a cast trigger, they can't respond to it. Exile 2 target permanents, indestructible. Whenever Ulamog attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of their library. This does not matter. You don't need this. What matters is this. 10 mana for a 10/10. When you cast him, exile 2 lands. I'm gonna start slam dunking this in all my decks to deal these green decks, bro. I'm so sick of these Field of the Deads, bro. Just fucking not leaving the game. Get out. I don't want to see these things ever again. Bounce Man is grasping at straws at this point. Oh, bro, you know what's funny? There really isn't any good like on rate land exile. It's all like super exorbitantly expensive. It's all like not good in terms of mana rates. Next up, get this one, chat. Desecrate Reality. 7 mana instant. For each opponent, exile up to 1 target permanent that player controls with an even mana value. 0 is even. Adamant. If at least 3 colorless mana was spent to cast this spell, return a permanent card with an odd mana value from your graveyard to the battlefield. It is a 3-for-1 at least at instant speed that exiles lands. If you don't want to exile lands, there's a chance it can't hit the things you want to hit. But if you have enough colorless sources, it can also be recursion for any permanent with an odd mana value. I think if you can't get the adamant on this card, don't run it. It's not worth it at that point. But if you can, I think it's good. It could be a 7 mana 4-for-1 that's also recursion to the field action, not just your hand. It's reanimation for any odd mana value permanent. It's good. So this can be 7 mana, exile 1 land the green player has, exile 2 things the other players have, and then you just get 1 thing back. Which didn't cost 7. By the time you can cast these spells, wouldn't you want to get rid of the things the green player used all that mana? Yes! But this is designed to beat out all these 9 basic lands. The Glacial Chasms, the Field of the Deads, ugh. So what you do, chat, is you play... Oh! So what you do, chat, right? Is you use the previous aforementioned land tax category of cards to ramp up to the green player, so that way you can cast your Ulamog faster, and cast your Ashen Rider faster, and cast your Desecrate Reality faster. That's what you do. You use white catch-up ramp to reach the green player, and then knock them back down on lands. That's the move. That's the tech, bro. Next, while we're talking 7-drops here, we have Karn Liberated. 7 mana Planeswalker. 6 loyalty. +4, target player exiles 1 card in their hand. -3, exile target land. -14, don't do that. Don't do this. You can restart the game if you need to. Just say, screw you, green player. You get nothing. The green players are just sitting in chat laughing, knowing they are completely safe. Yeah! Because Wizards refuses to print actually good land exile. We have Mangara of Corondor, chat. 1 white for a 1/1 legendary human wizard creature. Tap, exile Mangara, and target permanent. Now, he does have to stick for a whole turn to use him. But this can be 3 mana, exile a land. That's good! That's actually a good rate, believe it or not, and is actually the only good rate on this freaking category of cards, exile lands. Going back to 7-drops here, we have World Breaker. 6 in a green. I use the green to destroy the green card. Gas trigger. Exile target artifact, enchantment, or land. Pay 2 to colorless. Sack a land. Get it back from your graveyard. Okay. Yeah, man. You got it. Next up, of course, another 7-drop. Scour from Existence. 7 mana instant. Exile target permanent. You should probably just play Desecrate Reality if you're gonna run an instant that's designed to exile lands. You should probably just play this. That's more value for your more bang for your buck, as per se. I guess you could argue that this is better in a way because it only makes the green player hate you and doesn't make your opponents also hate you. Reality also can be recursion though, as well as land removal. Grip of Desolation, 4 black instant, devoid, exile a target creature and target land. It's 6 mana, exile 2 things. It's 3 mana per target. That's on the same tier as Murder, but Murder is destroy, not exile. So it's like, it's a little better. The art is sick. The art is peak. You can't deny that. Invader Parasite. 3 red for a mosquito creature, insect. Phyrexian insect, actually. 5 mana. Imprint. When this creature enters, Exile target land forever. Whenever a land an opponent controls with the same name as the exile card enters, this creature deals 2 damage to that player. Hello? A $10 super chat from Balthazar. When are we getting Maximum Cockroach? A 1-mana creature that has until your next turn, whenever an opponent plays a card, gain a food token. Maybe in the next food set, the next food pre-con for sure. Invader Parasite, absolute Boros Blink card. Also, once again, Balthazar, thank you for the $10 donation. I love you. Mwah. If you exile a forest, it can also be a Zozu that only affects a green player. Is that good? I'm not. I don't really know, actually, to be honest. Maybe. It is 5 mana. Maybe if you, like, Seething Song this thing out early. you're playing Mono Red Storm, turn 3, Seething Song into Invader Parasite. Absolute cinema. Lord have mercy, heaven above. Bro, why is Seething Song so expensive? Oh my god. $5 for Seething Song. Yeah, I am seething at that price tag. Alternatively, you can play an arguably much worse card with Territory Forge. Printed as a mythic in the big score, chat. What's this thing do? 4 red, 5 mana for an artifact. Sick art, it must be good. When this artifact enters, if you cast it, exile target artifact or land. This artifact has all activated abilities of the exile card. Notice how it says activated abilities and not abilities in general. So if you pay 5 mana, right? You pay 5 mana. You exile a Field of the Dead. Does Territory Forge make zombies? No, that'd be stupid. Instead, your Territory Forge can tap to add Carless. Wow. Nice and Meteorite. Why are American prices so bad? I don't know, man. Something tariffs that will totally be good for us. Totally, 100%, guys. I'm so tired of winning, chat. Anyways. Oh, yes! Another green card. I use the green to destroy the green card. Sowing Micah Spawn. What's this thing do? 3 and a green. Devoid. Kicker for 1 of Carlos. Eldrazi Fungus. When you cast a spell, search your library for a land card and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. When you cast this spell, if it was kicked, exile target land. You know what's funny, chat? This might be the best land exile spell here. You know why? Because it goes and grabs your best land. It's almost like green's OP or something, huh? That's really strange. So, land exile. You have your choice between, several different 7-drops or just fucking Ulamog. Like, legit, I think Ulamog might actually be a good answer to exile lands. Or you play, Mangara of Corondor, who is arguably the only actual reasonable, priced answer in terms of mana. Also 19 cents, very affordable. Our final category of land hate, or green hate, chat. Green cards, cringe. Our first card, chat, Bereavement. What does this thing do? 1 black for enchantment, 2 mana. Whenever a green creature dies, its controller discards a card. Absolute Avenger of Zendikar counter. Bro, you cast a Wrath of God. After a green player casts Avenger, they discard their hand. That's actually good, right? 2 mana, very affordable. Go's really good. Probably really good in like Onyxia too, right? Because of enchantment. This into Perish or Nature's Ruin. Funny enough, Alex, I actually do have Perish and Nature's Ruin on this list. Perish, 2 black sorcery. Destroy all green creatures. They can't be regen. Absolute troll counter. Thrun the last troll? What regen, bro? And then also, Nature's Ruin is the same thing, but printed in Portal. Destroy all green creatures. Again, if you want 2 copies of Perish in your decks. Death Grip. Black for enchantment. pay black, counter target green spell. This card is nuts in Yawgmoth, in Kirik, son of Yawgmoth. Just pay for life, counter any green spell. Honestly, Death Grip might be the actual best counter to green, because you just lay this thing down turn 2, and if the green player can't kill it, you just counter their whole deck forever. Putrefaction, 4 and a black, 5 mana for an enchantment. Whenever a player casts a green or white spell, that player discards a card. The 5 mana is kind of suspect, I ain't gonna lie, chat. 1 black, 3 mana for enchantment. Cumulative upkeep, pay 1 life. Beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a green or white permanent of their choice. So, okay, so I think Dystopia is only good if you're in life gain, or you have, like, Exsanguinate, Gray Merchants, all that stuff, right? I think I'm probably not gonna pay the upkeep cost more than 4 times, because then it's 3 mana, pay 10 life to basically edict the green player 4 times for 3 mana over the course of, 4 turns. I think this card is probably bad late game, but bro, you cast this on turn 3 when the green player is casting their commander. Oh my god, so good. So good. Breath of Dreams, 2 blue for enchantment. Cumulative upkeep, 1 blue mana. Green creatures have cumulative upkeep 1. Ooh. It's a 4 mana blue card with upkeep of 1 blue mana. It is, okay, so it's not just they gotta pay 1 for the green creature. It's they gotta pay 1 and then 2 and then 3. So eventually, this thing probably should just wipe the green player's board entirely, assuming you can continue paying the 1 blue mana for the upkeep triggers. I'm just questioning if 4 mana is too expensive to counter a green deck with. Once again, if you can blink this thing to reset the upkeep trigger, or the age counters rather, it's pretty good. Also, if you have ways to remove counters too, because the age counters are counters on the card. We have Hibernation, 2 and a blue instant. Return all green permanents to their owner's hands. Not just creatures, permanents. All them freaking green enchantments are gone. Also, it's an instant, which makes this way better, bro. Bro, imagine you cast this on the end of the green player's turn, dude. You just reset their board. Oh my god. That has gotta feel so good. There's a really good above rate Wrath. Or I guess bounce Wrath. Bounce Wipe. Insight, as someone in chat mentioned. Enchantment, 2 and a blue. Whenever an opponent casts a green spell, draw a card. As I mentioned with some of these previous cards, this is a green hate card that doesn't actually stop the green player from doing green shenanigans. Like, they can still ramp a crap ton of lands. You just get some free card draw out of a deal. I mean, you'll draw a lot of cards, because green players do cast lots of spells, because, they ramp lots of lands. They're going to have more spells to cast. That's just logic. But you can draw into the pieces, maybe. True. That is true, actually. Insight could potentially help you draw into some firmer answers to these green decks. Withering Gaze, 2 and a blue sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You draw a card for each forest and green card in it. I think this card is only good if it's used against a mono green player. Like, the minute they have a splash of any other color in their deck, mono green, it's 3 mana draw like 10. It's busted then. If they're in, like, green-white tokens or green-blue Simic, there's a chance this thing goes from 3 mana draw 10 to 3 mana draw 4, 3, maybe even like 3 or 2 if they're in, like, 3 colors. I think it falls off hard once it's not targeting a mono green player. And once again, doesn't actually stop the green player from doing their things, but might help you draw into some more firm answers for the green player. Flooded Woodlands, 2 blue-black, 4 mana for enchantment. Green creatures can't attack unless their controller sacrifices a land of their choice for each green creature they control that's attacking. I read this, I think, yesterday for the first time. I thought it was good. Reading it now, I question if the green deck even cares, and B, if the green deck doesn't just, like, build their board for a 1-turn kill, and then they just remove the Flooded Woodlands. Or matter of fact, if they have a 1-turn kill, they might not even need to remove the Flooded Woodlands. Like, they just sit there and don't attack, wait until they have 120 power, or just cast Critter Hoof and go for the game-ending swing. Like, it's kind of just like a pillow fort effect for the entire board, the creatures can still block too. So it's, because here's the thing, right? If they have a Crucible effect out, a way to recur lands in the graveyard, they might actually purposefully attack to purposefully sacrifice lands in order to get more landfall triggers. In that case, you're actually feeding them. Also an enchantment, so it's arguably the easiest card type for green decks to remove. I see the vision, but I think there's too much potential for it to backfire. We have, get this, Circle of Protection green. I swear to God, chat. 1 white for enchantment. Pay 1 generic. The next time a green source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. Falls off really hard the minute they're playing not mono green. Honestly, the real issue is the fact that you need to have enough mana to prevent damage from their entire board state, which, if they have an Avenger in the field, you might not be able to have 10 mana to spend into this to prevent damage from 10 different 7, 8 plant tokens. So there's that issue. But it can prevent damage early game. I'll be honest, this one's probably not great. Honestly, I'm gonna be real. Can't wait to hold 8 mana open so I can fog the elf balls like every turn. Absolute mana efficiency. Mirran Crusader. 1 white for a human knight creature. Double strike. Protection from black from green. I think this thing is only good if you're in a equipment deck. Bro, you throw a Colossus Hammer on this thing, dude? Oh my god. Green player's just dead. Green player's just fucking dead, dude. Has pro black, pro green. They can't block it at all. And you just kill them. You just kill them. Only good if you're in like equipment, or I guess even like auras if you want to be that guy. And then you just freaking just yeah. And chat, that is every card I found that I think can be used to stop green decks. If you want to support me directly, you can consider becoming a member of a channel. For only $2 a month, you'll get access to exclusive emotes such as loot chains and access to our member exclusive Discord server, a exclusive hangout space for you and your fellow Bounce Man members. I actually am trying to get some like Commander VC games going on through like either through Spell Table, or if people can't do that, we can do like we can figure something out if we need to.